can't stand the GM. Dallas is a complete mess. The Kyrie thing just adds to it. Awful injury, awful. And yet, simultaneously, man, Luka's starting to really look good, and the Lakers are in the championship bubble. I mean, think about the timing of LeBron. It's always come in different forms and shapes, but think about this for a second. He bailed on Cleveland. He said, I've been here 7 years. You can't get me another player. He leaves. He was right. He wins titles, goes to 4 straight finals, and Cleveland becomes an even bigger mess. He was right. Then his best friend's D. Wade. He gets to 4 straight finals, but D. Wade is struggling to play back-to-backs. And like a good investor, LeBron is always a year early, better than a year late. He leaves Miami. They fall off a cliff. He goes to Cleveland and wins. Then Kyrie gets in his feels. He carries, J.R. Smith and some quirky guys, hard to convince other pros to come to Cleveland. He bails. Cleveland goes into the tank again. And LeBron goes to Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles, people say, oh, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, they got Brandon Ingram, but they had really good young players. LeBron gets them out, gets AD, wins another title. He's right again. And then, over the last couple of years, as LeBron ages, LeBron privately, he did, and you know it, was concerned that AD could not get him easy baskets. AD was a good teammate. They worked together, but they weren't perfect as LeBron aged. And LeBron looked around the league and thought, who can get me easier baskets? The 2 best outlet guys are Jokic, he's locked up in Denver, and Luka. And he gets Luka. And the Lakers are now on fire. AD immediately gets hurt. The entire organization's a mess. Now, I'm supposed to believe that LeBron didn't know. I find that very hard to believe, and you can call him selfish. But here's something you have to call LeBron as well. Right. He is always right. I've never seen anybody with this kind of intuition. Everybody told him, be loyal to Cleveland. He was right. How can you bail on your buddy D. Wade? He was right. You're going back to Cleveland? Cleveland can't win. He was right. Los Angeles, it's a broken franchise. Well, at least you got good young teammates. Now, he was right. AD was the star that just needed help. And then AD's played a couple of really good years, and he stayed mostly healthy. And you know what that means? It was time to sell the stock. You got your title. He was finally consistently healthy. He was older. And LeBron's like, I'm still a top 5 guy in the league. And I think privately, LeBron had said, he's a good fit. He's not the perfect fit. And I watched the Dallas Mavericks become a mess over the last 3 weeks. And, some of it's just bad luck. But in my life of watching professional athletes, I'll say it again, he's a good investor. He's like Warren Buffett. He may be a little early, but he's never late. He always knows when it's time to move off. And it was funny, when Luka came here, and again, AD was really good for him. But he was 32 years old, and every Laker fan would watch AD and be absolutely honest. Weren't you always holding your breath? Weren't you always holding your breath? Of course you were. Now, and LeBron does this, when he went to Miami the first time, people said, hey, it's not going to work. It's clunky. You don't have a center. It's not always pretty for LeBron when he first goes to a place. It's not always pretty. It's a little clunky. But he made Miami right. Oh, Kyrie's a bust. Nobody can play with him. He brings over Kevin Love. He's a stat padder, not a winner. Took about a year to get it right. He got it right. Then he brings over AD. Had to get rid of the young kids. Little bumpy early. And then he got it right. So I don't know if Luka's going to win the first year, but every time LeBron hits this crossroads, like Wade, Bosh, and LeBron They were still good. And the Cavs were still good. And LeBron and AD were still good. But LeBron seeks great. And I do believe he may have been given a day or two heads up, but I think he had grumbled privately that as he aged, AD was a good fit, but not a perfect fit. That LeBron still had to always be the initiator of the offense. And LeBron knew I'd rather be a receiver on some nights, not just the quarterback. So as I watch this just sad mess in Dallas, it reminds me a little bit of the mess in Cleveland and the mess in Miami and the mess in Cleveland. And nobody avoids stepping in it like LeBron. It's not always perfect. The takeoff can be bumpy. Always makes the landing. I mean, the Dallas situation now between ticket sales, the lack of trust. I mean, Mark Cuban, ask yourself this. Mark Cuban a year ago said, I'm going to sell the franchise. You don't think LeBron James looked at that and thought, Luka may be available? I really believe this. I absolutely believe this. I believe every time LeBron was around Luka, remember when Luka came into the NBA first year? Go back and look at the tapes. Kid was 20 games in. LeBron's like, that kid's great. LeBron's like a talent scout. LeBron's like, that guy's great. He just makes sure everybody around Luka knew that LeBron thought you were great. He tried to get Steph Curry a couple years ago. Steph's like, nah, I'm a warrior. Remember, he kept saying nice things about Steph. What's Steph do? Steph can initiate the offense. LeBron can play off ball. LeBron can get easier baskets. So initially, he wanted Steph. And Steph wasn't available. Steph pushed back. Then he moved to Luka. Slowly saying nice things, keeping in contact with Mark Cuban. Cuban leaves the Mavericks. You know, Cuban and Luka, I absolutely do.
So we started Hot Take Happy Hour here on the
It's not even a hot take.
No. This should be Tinfoil Hat Tuesdays because that is deep. You're well in your bag here. I don't hate it. I'll say that. I don't.
How in the world can you go 7 for 7 in your career? You know how you do that? You're working the channels behind the scenes a year early. Do you think LeBron just woke up in Cleveland and decided to leave? No, he went to the Olympics the first time in Cleveland. He played with those Olympians, and flying back, he's like, the hell am I doing in Cleveland? I finally played with great players. He worked that Bosch D-Wade thing for a year. And then all of a sudden they get to the finals and they lose that thing, and Pat Riley's getting a little this, and I won't give you that. And LeBron starts telling his guys, it's time, and all of a sudden he gets a hold of Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert flies and apologizes. Suddenly he finds his way, a letter, Sports Illustrated. You think that thing happened in 6 hours? And then he goes to Cleveland. Kyrie leaves. By that time, Dan Gilbert's like, you got me a title, we're good. He goes to the Lakers. Again, everybody thought he would go Sixers. Everybody thought he would go Chicago. Where's he go? The biggest brand, Los Angeles. By the time he got to Los Angeles, he had meetings with 9 billionaires. Yeah. Okay, and then the whole time, he likes Lonzo. He likes Kuzma. No, he didn't. And he's working the channels. And, by the way, the AD thing with Rich Paul. Who represented AD? Rich Paul. I'm just saying, this stuff isn't happenstance. It's not just random. And it's not a criticism of it. LeBron is a great, intuitive businessman. He is selling the stock early, never late. And all of a sudden, once again, he's got the perfect teammate. The Mavericks are swimming in chaos.
Ability to see around corners, see what's coming down the pike. LeBron, listen, you just made a case that he might be the greatest executive in NBA history. The way he's pulling the strings and moving around. Everywhere he goes, he wins, Colin. Everywhere.
This is not a criticism.
No.
He bailed on Wade, and he was right. D-Wade couldn't play back-to-backs anymore. Bosch was having some physical stuff, but it was mostly about D-Wade. His Robin couldn't play. Remember those games against Indiana? D-Wade would be great, and the next day, you weren't sure if he could play in the next game. And all I'm saying with this Lucas stuff is you look up today, and it's like, are the Lakers the best team in the league after Boston? I think the answer is yes.
Ooh.
And I'm supposed to believe it's just all happenstance. I think LeBron knew